Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brian Plays. Today we are going to play Batman for the NES. One of the best games based on a movie ever. Batman came out in February of 1990 in America and came out at the end of December in Japan. This game has awesome music and cutscenes. I'm Batman. Let's go. So the first thing I think of when I play this game is the gritty atmosphere. It's a dark game. Makes you think of the dark alleyways, and I picture a lot of conveyor belts and gears and machines. I also think of the music. Just listen to that music. It's funny how Batman's purple too. Kind of reminds me of Jason in Friday the 13th for the NES, where they just decided to make him purple. But in all fairness, the game is dark, and perhaps Batman wasn't good in navy blue or black. Another thing I think about when I play this game is the wall jumping. It's reminiscent of Ninja Gaiden and Ryu Hayabusa. The controls are so smooth though. This is also the type of game that you have to master to beat. But once you master it, you can breeze through the game without really any problems. It's all about placement, timing, and conserving your weapons. In this game you have 3 weapons. You have the Batarang, which acts like a boomerang. There it is. You also have the Dirk, which is like 3 blades that spread apart when you launch them. And you also have the Spear Gun. And I believe the Batarang is worth 1 of your ammo, the Spear Gun 2, and the Dirk 3. You need to kill enemies. Every enemy you see, you have to kill. You pick up ammo by killing the enemies, and you can have 99 ammo. And it's a shared amount among the 3 weapons. So here we go. And with these bosses, it's all about knowing where to stand. This is the killer Moth. He's the boss of Gotham City, which is where you are. It's really easy once you know what to do. If you don't know what to do and you keep running around, you're going to get hit a lot. How awesome is that? This is level 2, the Access Chemical Factory. This is where the Joker hides out. Now, this game is loosely based on the movie. The movie already came out a few months before the game was released. But regardless of how different the story might be, or lack of story, the developers really did a great job. Sunsoft developed this game. They were fairly popular. They knew how to handle licensed property. They also made Fester's Quest, Gremlins 2, besides this game, another great one that they're known for is Blaster Master. Sunsoft was a good company. And they treated this game with respect, unlike the LJN games that are infamous for misrepresenting movies and all types of games. These little robots reminded me of Micro Machines when I was little. So we all know that the Joker wants to poison Gotham City. He wants to spread out the poisonous DDID nerve gas all over Gotham City. So basically you have to stop the production of this nerve gas, infiltrate the Joker's lairs, and finally defeat the Joker in the Cathedral Tower. The learning curve in this game is steep. Once you get to level 2, you have to make some risky maneuvers. But once you master them, you know, it's really fun. You have unlimited continues, so there's really no excuse to give up. These guys reminded me of Wolverine. This is when that X-Men cartoon. Well, this is before the cartoon, but whenever I come back to the game and see these guys, I always thought of Wolverine. This is a hard jump. Someone will run at you. I'm thinking of the last part over here. Yeah, right there. Some of these characters, the roll call of the enemies is in the instructions manual. And some of the enemies are KG Beast, Deadshot, Maxi Zeus, Night Slayer. Those are all enemies that were in the comics. But it's hard to recognize which one is which. Like that's Heat Wave. The controls in this game are very smooth, as you can see. It's easily responsive. When you want to make a wall jump, it's very smooth. There were other Batman games before this one, but this is the first real Batman game that received critical acclaim. This is the machine intelligence system. You basically take it out piece by piece. If you can't get in close with your fist, use your weapons. Because this is why you're conserving them for areas like this. If you can get close and punch and evade with an easy pattern like this, you don't have to waste ammo. There'll be some enemies, especially in the next area, where you might want to kill them from a distance. This is the underground Conduit. These guys, I think they're called Jader. If you don't have the pattern down, they'll stomp all over you, and you can never run past them. They'll follow you. So your best bet is to stay still and let him hop around you. If you're afraid to do that, then pick him off with an item from far away. You can also walk him off the screen, but it's difficult. If you hear noise in the background, it's just my turtle. I got him a new filter and he's going nuts over it. I think he thinks the filter's alive. These enemy pods are perfect for farming different items and to stock up on ammo. Kids these days use the word farm. I just call it filling your shit up. Batman's punch is very strong, considering it's just a punch, and these enemies are big. This game is still considered one of the best superhero games, even today. And I remember when I was younger, the 3 Batman games I always played were this one, Batman Returns for the Super NES. That was like a beat 'em up style game, like Final Fight. But that was a great game. It looked fantastic. And the 3rd game I used to play was Batman Forever for Super Nintendo. That game is probably one of the games that I try to enjoy as much as possible. I mean, back then those games were like $70, $65, and I had such high hopes for Batman Forever. It looked great. It kind of had like Mortal Kombat graphics, but everything was wrong with it, from the controls to just the move combinations. How they were as hard as Mortal Kombat fatalities, and I really wanted to like the game, but I kept coming back to it until I finally beat it. And then in retrospect, now that you can go online and read the reviews, I wasn't the only one that was frustrated by the game. But those are the 3 Batman games I always played. And eventually I didn't really play many Batman games until Arkham City in Arkham Asylum came out. And those games were masterpieces. So it's good to see that Batman is on the right track in terms of video games. He has a few good games out there, which other superheroes can't say, like Superman. This guy was hard, but you have to be patient and just follow the pattern. You hit him, and then you get back to the top platform. He'll jump towards you, you make sure he can't touch you, and then you come back down and hit him again. That's all you have to do. You get out of the way, he swings, you hit him, and then you get back on top. And just try to avoid him. If you're patient, you'll win. It's almost like the Ninja Turtles bosses, like the Shredder and Mecha Turtle. You just have to study their pattern, and then you'll get them. This guy's the Electrocutioner. Cool designs too. And once again, more fantastic music from Sunsoft. I mean, they were just churning out metal music during boss fights. The composer was Naoki Kodaka. So. He should be dead soon. Here we go. This is the laboratory. Now, if this is based more on the game, you might have a scene where Batman's on the rooftops questioning those thugs. You probably see a scene in the museum, and you probably see Vicky Vale. There was actually a prototype of this game that had a bunch of different scenes in it, and one of them did feature Vicky Vale. And the cutscenes were based on, I think they were based on the comics. But the biggest omission in the prototype was that you never actually fight the Joker in the game. You defeat him through a cutscene, which I'll explain later when I get up to the last part. That's a pretty cool background for the NES. Basically, killing every enemy you see will keep your ammo high. You'll never be able to get on the other side, so you gotta go around. There's a trick in this game that you see here. If you constantly punch as fast as you can while standing or crouching, the enemy will go through you and you won't take any health away. That's a real great strategy that you can use on those guys and even the boss of this level. The difficulty in this game is perfect too. It seems to go up with every level. You can be a little more patient with those enemies. You can crouch, and when they shoot, you can immediately jump up and fire a batarang at them. So unfortunately for the NES and a lot of other systems, games from movies just never fared well in terms of gameplay. You had games like E.T., Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters. All of those games were based on movies that were blockbusters, but the games never really translated to success. But kids had no idea of knowing how poorly a game would be until they actually bought it and played. I mean, you could rent it at Blockbuster back in the day, but most likely you wouldn't know if a game was horrible unless you bought it or tried it at a friend's house. See, if you keep punching, they can go right through you. That's why this game gets a lot of praise too, because there really isn't a lot of high expectations when a game based on a movie comes out. This game was the exception. That was the dual containment alarm boss. So now you finally get to the Cathedral. This level has a lot of gears. Kind of reminds me of like the clock tower from Castlevania. a perfect area to refill your supplies if you need them. This game was always in my rotation when I used to play regular Nintendo before Super Nintendo came out. I would always play the 3 Mario games, Metroid, Batman, Bionic Commando, The Simpsons. Mine Secret Castle, Friday the 13th. These are games I grew up playing, so you become really good at them. This is the hardest jump in the game. You have to do it a couple more times. It's hard to explain too, but when you're wall jumping, you can't always go the same height on your jump. Sometimes you have to pull back on the wall. This is your last area where you can farm, I guess, for ammo and health. But once you go in here, you're fighting Firebug. Now in the prototype, this was the final boss. And then the Joker sends him out in the cutscene. After you beat him, it goes back to the cutscene with the Joker, and Batman is standing behind Joker, but the Joker thinks Firebug has returned, and he assumes that he defeated you. But then when he turns around, he sees that it's Batman, and Batman punches him out the window. You never actually fight the Joker, but here you'll fight him. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? That's my favorite Joker song. There's 2 strategies here. You have to stay a perfect length away from his gun. Right there. Keep punching. Keep using your weapon. You just don't stop. Try not to get hit by his gun because it takes away like 1/3 of your health. I think just 3 hits and you're dead. Another strategy is if you have full health and you're up to him, keep on punching right on top of him. Don't stop. You might get away with killing him. This should be it. Yes. That's it. I always picture that as Michael Keaton. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. That's how the game ends. Really good Batman game. Sunsoft actually made a sequel to this game called Batman: The Return of the Joker, which I will show too. Oops. Thanks for watching.